A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. You're joining me, Devi Paldano. Now, before we head into your stories in more detail, let's first take a look at your headlines this evening. Another Grama Sevaka division in Kalutara placed under isolation. Sri Lanka to receive genetic test kits tomorrow. MP Rishad Batuddin and his brother to be detained and interrogated for 72 hours. Opposition and government comment on latest arrests in the country.
අපිට පාස්කු හොමිසමේ මිනිසුන්ට දඩුවම් දෙන්න කියනවා. ඒ දඩුවම් දෙනකොට අපිට කියනවා අපි විපක්ෂය මර්ධනය කරනවා කියලා.
එතකොට රිෂාඩ් බදුර්දීන් කබර ගෝයා. හැබැයි රිෂාඩ් බදුර්දීන්ගේ ගෝලෝ ටික අද දැන් තලගොයි බවට පත් වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
Now, taking a look at your stories in headlines now. Sri Lanka's tally of COVID-19 cases surpassed 100,000 today. This was after more than 820 new cases were detected during the course of the day. Official figures show that 5,724 COVID-19 infected individuals are currently under medical care. Meanwhile, the Attirigagoda Grama Division and Kalutari South Police jurisdiction were isolated with immediate effect from 6 p.m. today. What are the areas that have been isolated?
Army Commander General Shavendra Silva has said that the Adhikarigoda Gramaladari division in the Kalutara South Police jurisdiction had been placed under isolation owing to the spike in COVID-19 infections. 18 COVID-19 cases had been detected from the Kalutara South Police jurisdiction yesterday.
Status of areas already under isolation.
The Tittavalgala Gramaladari division in Kurunagala, the Kuliapitiya police jurisdiction and the Niravia and Nikadaluputta Gramaladari divisions continue to be placed under isolation. Trains did not stop at the Ganevatta railway station following a decision made by the Department of Railways. This decision had been made after 5 areas near the Ganevatta railway station had been placed under isolation. Meanwhile, certain stores remained closed in the Gale Mulla area in the Kuliapitiya police jurisdiction that has been placed under isolation.
From where were COVID-19 cases detected during the past 24 hours?
During the 24 hours ending at 6 a.m. this morning, 251 COVID-19 cases were detected from the Kurunagala district. 236 new COVID-19 cases were detected from the Gambaha district and another 194 from the Colombo district. 12,439 COVID-19 tests have been carried out yesterday.
What is the progress of tests to detect new virus mutants in the country?
අපි දැනට අනුමාන කරලා තියෙනවා මේක ඥාන විකෘතියක් සහිත ප්‍රභේදයක් නිසා තමයි පැතිරෙන්නේ කියලා.
We have arrived at an assumption that this is spreading since this is a virus containing a mutant variant. Yesterday we detected this virus through PCR tests and on Tuesday we will carry out a special PCR test. We are expected to receive the test kits tomorrow. It is currently in Hong Kong. The kits are to arrive via transit flight. We are anticipating the arrival of these kits. Upon receiving these kits, we will carry out PCR tests on Tuesday to detect the mutant variants. We will then submit the relevant reports to the Health Ministry.
බලන්න අවශ්‍ය කරන මේ දත්ත වාර්තා හැකියක්මනේ සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශයට ලබා දෙන්න.
How will vaccination help against the new virus mutants?
ඉතාමත්ම අමාරු එහෙම කියන්න. හැබැයි අපි පොදුවේ දන්නවා AstraZeneca vaccine එක B117 කියන ප්‍රභේදයට යම්කිසි අඩුවෙන් තමයි ප්‍රතිචාර දක්වන්නේ.
It is difficult to determine that, but we know that the AstraZeneca vaccine has a less responsive rate to the B117 virus variant. Since a person's immunity builds up upon receiving the vaccine, the severity of the infection will reduce. That is also very helpful. This is because it will limit the infection to a common cold. Although its efficacy is low, we feel that vaccinating is the best way to curb the spread of the virus.
The third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic is raising its head in the country. This is because the government neglected the second wave. Other countries monitored the situation continuously and took steps to manage the crisis. The government commenced the vaccination drive after providing much publicity. But today, the government is incapable of providing the public with the second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. The COVID-19 pandemic has raised its head once again. The virus has already spread across the country. but the government refuses to accept that there is a community transmission. Health authorities had recommended to vaccinate 13 million people. This means the government requires 26 million doses of the vaccine. However, only 1.2 million doses have been imported to date. What is the situation now? The government is unable to import vaccines from India. The Sinopharm vaccine is to be brought down, but this vaccine has not been approved. Against such a backdrop, it is clear that the government has failed to curb the spread of the virus.
මෙවැනි තත්ත්වයක් තුළ ලංකාවේ කොරෝනා පාලනය අසාර්ථක වෙලා යනවා රජයෙන් ගිලිහෙමින් යනවා.
Now, while Sri Lanka grapples with the COVID-19 situation here, India's healthcare system, on the other hand, is tattering as the world's worst COVID-19 surge wears out the nation, which is set for another global record in daily infections for a second consecutive day today with 332,730 cases. Now, taking a look at another one of your headline-making stories. Former Minister Rishad Bathiuddin and his brother Riyaj Bathiuddin were arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department today. Police spokesperson DIG Ajit Rohan has said that they had been arrested as part of the investigations into the 2019 April 21st attacks. The suspects are being detained and questioned for 72 hours. Leader of the All Ceylon Makkal Congress, former Minister Rishad Bathiuddin, was arrested by the Criminal Investigations Department at his residence in Bauda Lokamawata. Leader of the All Ceylon Makkal Congress, former Minister Rishad Bathiuddin, had posted a video on social media that was captured at the time of his arrest.
I was in Parliament the whole day, but no one spoke about that. After I had returned following my prayers at the mosque, CID officers came to my place at around 2 or 3 a.m. to arrest me. I asked them whether they had informed the speaker about this. They did not respond to that. I asked whether they have a warrant as well. They didn't respond to that as well. They forcefully entered my house in the middle of the night. They came to arrest me while I was asleep during this fasting period. My wife asked whether this could be done in the morning. They then replied that they wanted to take me away immediately. I am a leader of a democratic party in the country. 169 of my party members are in provincial councils. I have not done anything wrong. Arresting me in the middle of the night for no wrongdoing is political revenge. It is a conspiracy against allowing us to voice our concerns for the people. I wish to inform the Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim people who respect democracy that this is a witch hunt to cover up for the failure in the police and the government. Even if they punish 100 wrongdoers, they must not punish a single person who has not done anything wrong.
Rishad Bathiuddin's brother Riyaj Bathiuddin was arrested at his residence in Velavatta today.
Meanwhile, the police issued a statement on the arrest of parliamentarian Rishad Bathiuddin today.
After a person is arrested under the Prevention of Terrorism Temporary Provisions Act, a 72-hour detention order can be obtained to question the suspect. Accordingly, he is being questioned at present. Another detention order will be obtained under Section 9, Subsection 4 of the Act to question him further in order to continue the investigations. This detention order can be obtained for a period of 90 days.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Public Security also expressed his views in this regard during a media briefing today.
They were arrested following a lengthy investigation by the Criminal Investigations Department and the Terrorism Investigation Division into the April 21st attacks. Although 8 documents have been submitted to the Attorney General in connection to the 8 incidents, arrests will be made from time to time in line with the ongoing investigations by the police.
Opposition parliamentarians visited MP Harin Fernando, who is currently receiving treatment at a private hospital in Colombo.
Our attempt to identify the masterminds of the April 21st attacks has now become a joke. This would only tarnish the credibility of the institutions that have been established to uphold the law. These investigations are not carried out within the common legal framework. It is our country's democracy and the rights of its citizens that are being put at risk.
The government pledged to punish the masterminds of the April 21st attacks within 2 weeks of coming to power. But today it seems that the government is attempting to pin the blame on Harin Fernando instead of arresting those responsible. Is the government attempting to portray Harin Fernando as the perpetrator instead of Zahran? These are only moves to fulfill the objectives of certain factions. The government has launched a witch hunt against opposition parliamentarians to suppress their allegations raised against the government.
We urge the government to implement the law without attempting to silence the opposition. Moreover, I believe the statements made in Parliament are very important. At this point, priority should be given to punish the masterminds of the attacks.
Meanwhile, various views were expressed on the recent arrests that are being carried out in the country. Today, the government has shown that it has failed across all fronts. The need of the hour is to ensure justice in the country. The people have understood the issues caused by the government in the recent days. A massive discourse has been created on the sugar scam that caused a loss amounting to 15.9 billion. The government is trying to cover it up. Various issues arose as a result of importing substandard coconut oil to the country. The government is concealing that as well. Rampant environmental destruction and deforestation had stirred controversy among public circles. The government was pushed to the wall while being asked to identify the mastermind of the April 21st attacks. The people had also been accusing the government of allowing the creation of a separate and independent state and giving it away to China. While these failures continue to emerge, we saw that the spread of COVID-19 has accelerated. Against such a backdrop, the government is carrying out an operation to arrest leaders of opposition political parties to appease their henchmen.
Why
was Rishad Badiuddin arrested? The relevant evidence has come to light. There is a massive issue as well. The father of the suicide bomber had been named as a nationalist member of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna. Some extremist groups have reached an agreement with the Janata Vimukti Peramuna as well. Therefore, this is not an attempt to suppress the opposition. We are being asked to punish those responsible who have been identified in the commission report. When we do that, they say that we are suppressing the opposition.
Rishad Badiuddin ඇමතිවරයා අත්අඩංගුවට ගන්නවා. අපි කියනවා ආණ්ඩුවට
Rishad Badiuddin has been arrested. We wish to tell the government that any individual linked to the April 21st attacks must be arrested regardless of their status. They must be punished. The law must be enforced against them. However, we haven't forgotten that the parliamentarians of Rishad Badiuddin's party and Rauf Hakim's party had voted in favor of the 20th Amendment so that the government could pass it with a 2/3 majority. This is how the government adopted the 20th Amendment that contains autocratic features. Those in the government held discussions with these two leaders to win their support at that time. It was Basil Rajapaksa, a close ally of Rishad Badiuddin, who allowed him to act according to his free will before 2015. In that case, why are they arresting Rishad Badiuddin, who was once a friend to them? That is because of nothing else. They want to arrest Harin Fernando. The government has committed this shameful act to lay the environment for the arrest of Harin Fernando. If the government feels that they can deceive the people through such acts, this is the biggest joke of the government.
ආණ්ඩුව රවට්ටන්නට පුළුවන් කියලා හිතනවා නම් ඒක තමයි ආණ්ඩුව දකින ලොකුම විහිළුව.
News First, the voice of the people.
Now what you just witnessed was footage of wild elephants in Mahianganaya. Now as the human-elephant conflict continues to grow in several parts of Sri Lanka, another valuable life, the life of a mother, fell victim to an elephant attack.
represent the struggles of our ancestors. The lives of our farmers and their families are at risk because of the wild elephants. Officers at the Wildlife Department claim that people fall victim to wild elephant attacks because they are under the influence of alcohol. But the mother we lost today, was she drunk? We urge the authorities to refrain from playing games with the lives of our people. You are unaware of the strength of the farming community in Sri Lanka.
A herd of wild elephants had encroached into the Kandakadu village located near the Somavati Forest Reserve. One elephant that had come in search of paddy had destroyed the house completely. The herd of wild elephants had also destroyed several cultivations in the village. Although the villagers immediately informed the Wildlife Department in Valikanda, the officers arrived in the area after 11 in the morning. These villagers claim that they have not received any compensation for the damages caused by the wild elephants. When will these villagers see a solution to their problems?
News First, the voice of the people.
Consumers say that they have been deceived by the latest 18-litre gas cylinder released to the market by Litrogas Lanka Limited. Now, News First made inquiries into this matter today. Litrogas Lanka Limited had introduced an 18-litre premium hybrid cylinder to the market at a price of 1,395 rupees. The weight of the newly introduced product measures 9.18 kilograms. The regular 12.5 kilogram gas cylinder sold by Litrogas Lanka Limited is priced at 1,493 rupees. Although the product has been reduced by about 100 rupees, consumers say that the weight has also been reduced by 3 kilos.
They can sell this to a fool. A person who knows his calculations will not be satisfied. What has actually happened is that they have indirectly increased the price of gas by about 400 rupees.
We will purchase gas only after weighing them before selling it to the people. We spend about 200 rupees to transport these cylinders. The cylinder costs 1,600 rupees. How can we earn a living?
We will be selling the 18-litre cylinder. It will be a problem to us if the people use it up quickly. So we inform the people about that and sell it at the new rate.
Journalists raised questions about this matter from State Minister Lasantha Aligewanna today.
They have informed us that the efficiency has been increased in the new product. We informed this to 3 state institutions that are specialized on these matters. We have made a written request from these institutions to see whether the consumer will be benefited as a result of this. Once we receive a report by next Friday on the technical aspect of this matter, we will hold discussions with Litrogas Lanka and take the relevant steps if there are any changes that needs to be done.
සමාගම දැනුවත් කිරීමට අපි විශේෂයෙන්ම කටයුතු කරනවා.
Yesterday, Litrogas Lanka Limited had informed the Consumer Affairs Authority that they would withdraw 50% of its new product from the market. The company stated that there is no shortage of gas cylinders in the market. Meanwhile, the Association of Self-Employed Individuals filed a complaint with the Criminal Investigations Department stating that 406 rupees is being defrauded through the new product.
They are harming the people based on the wishes of these corrupt individuals. Therefore, we filed a complaint against it. We wish to tell the government to put an end to this mechanism of deceiving the people. The people must be provided with relief.
The Finance Ministry had issued a new concessionary tax rate for liquefied petroleum gas from the 20th of April. The concessionary reports an airport development levy for liquefied petroleum gas previously stood at 7.5%. The new rate allows the rate to stand at either 7.5% of 2,000 rupees per metric ton, whichever is lowest. This would be until liquefied petroleum gas prices reach $325 per metric ton. A government report has shown that Sri Lanka's economically inactive population had risen by at least 400,000 last year. Reports published by the Census and Statistics Department showed that Sri Lanka's economically active population that stood at 8.5 million at the first quarter of 2020 had declined to 8.1 million by the fourth quarter. This is despite reports showing that the unemployment rate in the country had reduced from 5.7% recorded during 2020's first quarter to 5.2% by the last quarter. In terms of gender, females recorded higher percentages of employment in the agriculture and services sector, while the employment rate of males were high in the industrial sector. According to the report, the unemployment rate of individuals with qualifications above ordinary level examinations were higher compared to those with lesser educational qualifications. Sri Lankan cricket captain Dimuth Karunaratne registered a double century in the first test against Bangladesh that is currently underway. Sri Lanka scored 512 for the loss of 3 wickets in the first inning at the close of the third day's play today. And of course, with that, we wrap up prime time news here on TV1. But before we go, we leave you tonight with some views expressed by Dr. Venerable Dambara Aminathero. For the News First team, I'm David Paldano, joined by our sign interpreter for tonight, Brian D. Cruz. Take care and good night.
The Epilogue.
යුරෝපීයන්ගේ ආක්‍රමණ 3කට අපි මුහුණ දුන්නා. වර්තමානයේ මේ පෝර්ට් සිටි ව්‍යාපෘති හරහා
Sri Lanka had been invaded by Western nations thrice in the past. We believe that at present, the country is facing a risk of falling victim to colonization through the Colombo Port City project. We must remember that Western nations gained control over Asian regions through commercial entities even in the past. Lorenzo de Almeida had requested the king of the Corte Kingdom to provide him with a small plot of land. The king had facilitated the foreigner's request. This small and short-sighted move resulted in the Portuguese gaining control of Sri Lanka's coastal areas in 1521. King Bhuvanekabahu VII was responsible for this. In the end, his grandson was baptized as Don Juan Dharmapala. You must remember that King Bhuvanekabahu VII, who received assistance from the Portuguese, was later shot and killed by the very same group of foreigners. That is the story of King Bhuvanekabahu VII and the Portuguese. In our view, this story is similar to the situation concerning the Chinese government and Sri Lanka.
කැඳවාගත්ත 7 වෙනි බෝනිකබහුට සිද්ධ වෙනවා පෘතුගීසීන් අතින් වෙඩි කාලා මැරෙන්න. ඒ එදා ඉතිහාසයේ පෘතුගීසියා 7 වෙනි බෝනිකබහු කතාන්දරය. අද චයිනා හාබර් නැත්නම් චීන රජය අතර ඇති වෙලා තිබෙන තත්ත්වයට හා සමාන තත්ත්වයක් තමයි තිබෙන්නේ.
The Epilogue.